Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Welcome to another Wednesday afternoon. You are catching us from the past, but this is the future. It's Shazam. We're talking to you guys about maybe the best DC movie ever. Let's talk about it right now.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Action Movie Anatomy.
Boom! This is exciting.
This is very exciting. We're here in the past. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday, man.
Hey, thanks, brother.
We didn't get to actually do the show on your birthday for the people, but we're taping it on your birthday, so now you get to have it now, and they'll congratulate you on Wednesday for your birthday, having been today.
It's like a 2 weeks worth of birthdays, and we didn't shout it out on Tag, even though that's airing today. Even though anyway, it's now everyone's just confused.
Yeah, you get to have the true millennial experience of celebrating a birthday week.
Yeah, right. and like things airing in digital media on my birthday. Yeah, crazy,
exciting, wild stuff. Guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Welcome to AMA. It's an exciting day here. Talking Shazam, directed by David F. Sandberg. This movie was friggin' sweet.
It was amazing. I leaned over to you about, I think, maybe 45 minutes in, and I went, "This is fucking awesome."
Yeah.
I was so happy because you'd come over right beforehand, and I was saying to you, I was like, I'm so worried now because I am expecting a very good movie.
Yeah.
Not a good movie, not a great film, but like right in the middle. And if I wasn't going to get that, I was going to be disappointed.
We also had like some really weird stuff from a press perspective, which is that this is kind of like a little peek into what happens in our world.
Yeah.
So guys, generally speaking, when a movie is going to come out, that movie will be wrapped well before the release, and the press tour will start sometime in the month plus before the movie actually hits theaters. Sometimes longer if it's going to release in China or something first. If a movie's bad, the studio will generally know it's bad, and they won't start showing press screenings to us till maybe like 10 days or a week before the movie.
Yeah, it's always like, hopefully they won't be able to tell anyone how bad this is by the time it releases.
Sometimes my screening will be Tuesday for a Thursday release.
Right,
the movie's really bad. And the embargo, which is when we are legally allowed, if they're going to allow us to see it early, doesn't even lift often until like midnight on Wednesday. So like you can't bomb the review till Thursday. So what's always really interesting when a movie like Shazam comes out, it's a major studio, major property, and they started showing this to people 3.5, almost 4 weeks ago.
I kept thinking that I was like missing something. You know what I mean? Because every single day it would be like a new friend of ours talking about Shazam was great.
So you kind of know it's going to be at least above average or pleasing in some way, if that's the case.
Yeah.
And then when Fandango did the preview screenings for people, so if you're like a Fandango user, you got to see it last weekend.
Yeah.
So I was out of town for all of the various screenings that I would have had access to, so I didn't actually get to watch it, and you didn't watch it either. And so we went to the theater last night together. This is Friday, so last week.
Yeah.
The actual opening night. We watched it in a theater with people.
Yep.
Which I don't feel like I do that much anymore.
I know. I was sitting there and I invited a friend of mine. And she was like, "Oh, it's so cool we get to go to another screener." And I was like, "No, this is opening night. We're just here."
going to the
she was
movie.
like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're here
paying
with
for
everyone
this.
here. We're paying for this. Expensive, but it was great. It was a really great movie theater experience." And well, first of all, there's gonna be a lot of spoilers. A lot of spoilers to this episode. We're
gonna spoil the shit out of this movie.
Yeah, we really are.
There you
So
go.
if you haven't seen it yet, I would definitely recommend watching it and then coming back and viewing this episode because we're going to talk about a lot of really great stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And I loved this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. It's so interesting this week. This week on The Action Guys, which is our other show that we do over at Collider, we are doing the episode, the definitive ranking of all films in the DCEU, all 7. We're going to do the definitive ranking. And thinking about this movie coming out of it, one thing that I found really interesting, and I put this into that outline, is ranking the trailer experience of the 7 movies.
I saw that. I thought that was such a cool idea.
Because so interesting with the DCEU movies, with the MCU, you have this really consistent brand now. So like the bad ones are few and far between, and most of the really bad ones happened earlier on. So like the expectation was pretty low.
Yeah.
By the time the DCU even started, we were so far into superhero culture, and by the time the DCEU made its first really good movie, we were already into the phase where like Wonder Woman's trailer is awesome.
Yes.
The Man of Steel trailer is great. The Suicide Squad trailer is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, it really is excellent.
Both of them. But the movie's terrible.
The music, it's so bad.
And so watching this trailer,
I didn't like the Aquaman trailer though.
I saw the Aquaman and the Shazam trailers last year at Hall H at Comic-Con, I remember, and I remember thinking like, Aquaman was like extra long because they were trying to show us like the Comic-Con footage.
Yeah.
and I was like, kind of cool. And this trailer, I was like, that was funny and above average, but
I gotta say, this trailer, I was not was never sold on it.
you were like, this movie looks dumb.
Yeah, it just looked weird, and like in my mind, I was like, I know they're trying to portray something to me or send a message to me, but I'm not really getting it. And I get that it's like fun and cool and quirky and kids, but like, honestly, if they were able to paint it like the Goonies of 2019,
Yeah.
that's what they should do.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's what this movie's good
it
at.
really is. Yeah.
So, anyway, guys, that's enough of the preamble here. We cover action movies on the show. Those action movies adhere to 4 basic rules. Rule number 1, the hero always plays by their own rules. Yeah, I think Asher does.
I would 100% say Billy Batson.
Yeah, Billy Batson.
Is that he does play by his own rules almost to a fault.
Yeah.
Because he's a kid. That's another thing I love about this. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, my mom kept leaning over. She's like, he's so dumb. And I was like, I know, but he's 16. Like, if you're 16.
No, he's almost 15.
Oh, yeah, he's almost 15.
Yeah.
Like, imagine. And then Mark Strong is like this genius doctor who has just trained his whole life.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even fair.
Yeah. Rule number 2, the hero and the villain are always the smartest people, beings, things, dinosaurs in the room. I don't think that he's the smart. Freddy's smarter.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Freddy's way smarter.
Yeah, but Mark Strong is the smartest guy in the room, villain-wise. Rule number 4, well, actually, kind of, but he's getting conned by the 7 deadly sins, so he's almost not.
Right. But like being able to figure out how to get back to that world is insane.
It's crazy. Rule number 3, the movie is driven by police, military, political, or mercenary figure. Nope. And rule number 4, the movie contains a minimum of 1 explosion.
Definitely.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, every time he says Shazam.
That's true. There's lightning.
Yeah.
It was cool. So those are the rules of action movie anatomy. We try to stick to them for the most part. Coming up today on the show, we're going to be talking buying or selling on the DCEU. We are going to be picking who's the next comedian that you want to see play a superhero. And then we are going to be introducing a new segment here called The Action Guys Summarize.
Do you like that?
It rhymes.
It does.
You know who gave us that segment?
Jeff Graham up in the booth.
Jeff Graham. How you doing, man?
There I am.
Yeah.
I am doing great, and I am flattered you guys took my segment. And I'm a nerd for your show, so I'm always excited to be here.
My favorite part is like Jeff comes in, he's like, "Is this going to be a super spoiler?" Like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna ruin this. We're actually gonna introduce your segment." He was like, "Damn it, I should have said it next week." But no, Jeff, you dug your own grave. So
I dug my own grave.
So
that's right.
coming up in a second, we are going to do the Action Guys Summarize, which is basically just because we don't watch the trailers anymore, we're going to pitch what this movie is in about a minute. Before we do that, a couple quick shout-outs.
Yeah.
The first one is happy birthday to Andrew Guy.
thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Mother, for birthing me 31 years ago. God, I'm old. Getting old.
31.
It's
crazy.
Birthday next.
Oh yeah, my mother got me this for my birthday. So
Oh,
I
it's a
figured I'd
lovely
rock it.
tie.
It's really nice, right?
Yeah, it's
I really
great.
love the pattern on it.
My favorite color.
Okay, all right. We all know. Thanks, Joe.
So happy birthday. You guys can find Andrew Guy on Twitter at Andrew Guy.
That's true.
Why did I say your name like that?
I don't know. Do you know my name?
Andrew Guy. Andrew Guy. You guys can find me at Ben Baby Media. You can find the show at Team Action Show. There's a million other things and places. If you
just
want to
had
support the show,
A heat moment.
yes.
Yeah.
Haysbert. Yeah, there you go. If you guys want to follow along with the conversation, you guys should follow patreon.com/Team Action. That's the best place to support us. We have exclusive content coming out there all the time. A ton of cool stuff this week, in fact, so you should check that out. Like tons of new levels. There's too much to eat.
There's way too much to even plug. Yeah, I'm on your page. We got brand new challenge coins. We got everything. It's crazy.
The most important one, I think, to point out is, guys, if you love action movie anatomy and you love what we do, go ahead on YouTube and find our YouTube page, which is Action Industries.
Yep.
We are putting out content there. We're putting out full episodes of our other show, the Action Guys. You get kind of greatest hits clips from this show. A really good joke here and there will kind of pop up on there. And any additional content's going up on there. And we're trying to build that. We're trying to just build Action Industries with this incredible team of people that are helping support us get there. So check that out. Let's do the Action Guys Summarize.
Yeah, there should be a good clip to pull. I think we can start pulling these for teasers of the episode.
How do you want to do?
I don't really know. I was like thinking about it. I was like, maybe we just go back and forth. And we just like keep cutting each other off.
I'm gonna make an
minute.
executive decision right now.
1
and
minute?
It's gonna be so I'm gonna set a timer, and every 10 seconds we switch. We gotta get the whole movie in 10 seconds.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yep.
All right, let's go here. We got 3, to your starting.
So it started off, and you could kind of tell because it was dark that we are going to get the villain's backstory, and I loved it because it was immediately pretty intense, and I wasn't sure where we were going to go, but I knew it was.
So he's never good enough to live up to his dad's expectations. So he goes and Jaimon Hansu is like, "You are not pure of heart, so you're dumb. Go back to real life." Then they get in a car crash, right?
And so the car crash happens, and what happens is it's all his fault because he comes back from being in this wizard land. He's like, "Oh my God, where was I? I was just there." The dad's like, "What are you talking about? You're an idiot." The brother's like, "I hate you. I
So that plot line's kind of dumb. So then it goes over to Billy Batson, and he gets left because he wants a tiger at the carnival, but he doesn't get a tiger. He gets like some little go north to find your mother, but she leaves him.
So we call those compasses in the world. Those are called compasses. You use the compass, so he ends up getting lost, and so you're like, oh wow, there's the kid with the horrible family, and then here's the hero, the mom abandoned.
Now he's kind of a bratty teenager, and he tries to find his mom. He looks up all the Batsons, can't find her, runs away from 27 foster homes. We're gonna have to go 2 minutes because we're at a minute now.
Yeah. Okay, so we're halfway through, and then he ends up finding the great foster home, which you can already tell because you go there and everyone's cool and interesting. He's got the great parents. You got the Latino father and the Latino mother, and he's kind of Asian.
And he's got all these other foster kids. They're great. They're like the Goonies of 2019, and they're adorable. And then he gets asked by Shazam to be the next champion.
Yeah, he asks him to touch his staff and say his name, which is kind of weird, but he does do it. Yeah. It is super weird, but when it happens, you're like, holy shit, he is now a superhero. And then we get the awesome moments of a teenager figuring out.
So in high school or middle school or whatever grade they're in, they're all getting beat up by bullies, and his buddy Freddy, who wants to be a superhero, he's training him to be a superhero. Then he gets his powers, and they go to beat up the bullies.
So then he figures out his powers, and then all of a sudden Mark Strong comes in, and he's the villain. He's like, oh my God, you're the villain. You're the guy I gotta beat. And Mark Strong starts kicking his ass because he's smart. He's old. He's already learned to harness his powers.
Okay, in 10 seconds. So then the other guys, they all find out that he's Shazam. They all get their own powers when he shares it with them. That's how he defeats the bad guy, and that is the end of Shazam.
Boom. Mom, how did we do?
Too good.
Could you understand anything we said?
Yeah,
Okay.
Because I saw the movie, but you guys were way too fast and too good.
All right.
I don't know
She
if that was a
approves.
good segment.
Jeff, how did it go?
I think there's a lot of potential. That's what we'll work it out.
We have to work out the kinks, but that was the Action Guys summarize.
Actually, guys, summarize. That kind of feels like it would have been funnier if we were drunk. But
yeah, and most things are.
Yeah, okay. So, guys, last thing is I want to give a quick Patreon shout-out to Brady Heiner and Tyler Kern, new members of the Action Army.
Boom.
We salute you.
We salute you, gentlemen.
All right, let's get into the first segment of the show. This is Thesis Statement. This is your biggest, boldest thought about the film. This is your thing you want to stand behind if you're going to talk about this movie with people. Andrew, I'm going to throw to you first.
So this is kind of an odd one for me, but what I'm going to say is that no one in... God, that's so tough. I don't want to say that. I'm going to say I've never been more proud for someone to come into a superhero than Zachary Levi, like a superhero movie than Zachary Levi. We talked a lot about his career and how long he's been around and how long he's been working under the radar and how no one really knows who he is. You look at him in Chuck and you look at him now, and I watched this interview behind the scenes about him being, so excited about being in Tangled,
yeah,
and actually being able to sing because he loves to sing, and he grew up watching Disney movies, and one day as a kid he was like, I'm going to be in a Disney movie, I'm going to be a superhero, like all these things he told himself. And the way that he did it wasn't like I told myself I was going to be in a Disney movie and I did. It was like I wanted this my whole life.
Yeah.
I've had this incredible opportunity to be here. I've worked so hard. And I look at him now and I'm just like, I'm so happy for him. I love everyone that has come into the success of with the MCU and the DCEU. Gal is incredible and what her career has become because of it. But it's just I heard Zachary Levi was casting this. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it was weird.
I wasn't happy about it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't want to see him in it. And until last night and until that interview I watched, I was not really sold.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love him. I'm so happy for him. I'm so proud of him. And I don't know what's actually going to happen with his career, if he will actually become an A-list superstar and go into that level of superstardom, but I'm so happy. It probably feels like he got the recognition that he deserves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. My thesis statement is that Shazam works because the movie is great when superhero Zachary Levi is not on screen.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing to realize. I leaned over during the movie about 30 minutes in before he turns into a hero, and I was just like, this movie is great because it's working, and we're 35 minutes in, and he hasn't even become Shazam yet.
Yeah.
It's not because Asher is so good, or necessarily that the actor who plays Freddy, whose name is escaping me right now, is so good. It's more just the writing is good. it's funny. Like I was thinking about this. I was like, when he gets to that foster home and he meets all the other kids, I was like, this is firing on all cylinders. Every one of you is good.
Yeah.
Every single one of you is funny. Every moment and interaction here is good. The parents are great. Like,
The characters are so clearly defined.
yeah,
Like so quickly.
Yeah, they're funny. Like that's what it really had. What it really had was a lot of like sitcom beats that worked.
Yeah.
I've like noticed that, like when they walk in the house and Eugene, I think is the Asian kid, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And he just yells out.
and he's like, die, and he's on his computer. I was like, oh, that's like straight out of a sitcom.
100%.
And it was funny there, and it's funny on TV.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, there's so many like setups and knockdowns and like rules of threes and just like things that you watch in the film that are like, oh, I probably know what's gonna happen next, and then it did. But then in moments when and it didn't matter in that moment because they kind of want you to be in on the joke and comedy.
Yeah.
But then early on, for instance, when he goes to see Rachel for the first time, I was like, the cops are going to come pick him up before he even gets to the door. It's probably his real mom, and then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like kind of annoyed.
Yeah.
But then he goes to the door, and he's like, I think you're my mom. And then
Yeah.
a black woman answers. She's like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
And then the cops come, and I was like, good.
Yeah.
You're smarter than me, and you
Yeah.
added in a great moment. Like,
Yeah.
like I love that. I love that I felt very taken care of by them.
Totally. Yeah. So I think this movie is like fun. I think is the word people use to describe Aquaman, and I think that this movie is properly fun. Mm-hmm. Like fun. Like okay. When somebody says, "Did you like it or not?" and you answer with, "It was fun." Like that can either mean it was kind of a mess, but it was light enough, which I think is what a lot of people felt about
That's
Aquaman.
what Aquaman is. That's
Yeah, like it's like they tried for something. Jason Momoa is a true movie star, and like a lot of the stuff in this movie is bizarre. So like this movie is fun because it like makes you feel good. Like the whole movie makes you feel good. He's funny. Like so many of the jokes, man, when he's like, I have an idea. And he's like, I'll take some of your finest beer. I was like, this is funny. This is great.
Because that's like what you would do as a kid.
And then they don't even like the beer. I love that.
Yeah, they spit it out and they
Yeah.
go back in and they come out with what you did when you were 15, which
Yeah.
is tons of munchies
Yeah.
and energy drinks. It was, yeah, that was the other thing too, because in, what movies did I watch recently with all the 90s throwbacks and jokes that I didn't like?
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel. It drove me absolutely insane.
Yeah.
This one, they did it without being like, we're making that reference now.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I remember being a 15-year-old kid playing video games with my friends. We would go to 7-Eleven and spend
Yeah.
like $20 and think we'd won the lottery. You know?
Totally. Yeah, this movie was great. I loved it. So I'm glad we both have thesi that we're excited about. So yeah, you guys share your thesis statements below in the comments if you like this. You know, it's really interesting. DCEU properties, they have this like really, really hardcore fan base because they get so shit on by MCU fans.
Yeah.
And the DCEU is just constantly sort of maligned as like the not as good ones. But so if you love DC, you grew up loving DC, you're so connected, you're so loyal.
Oh, yeah.
That's why the DC Movie News fan base is so intense.
Oh, I've gotten some incredible. Like I was on Collider Movie Talk twice,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think we talked about DC movies once. I had got some very interesting personal messages.
Didn't you like make? I feel like you made one comment on that was incorrect, right? Was it about DCEU? There was one thing I remember you called me afterwards, and you're like, "I said this, and this was wrong."
Yeah, I did, and that like a couple people had said something about
Okay, it
that, but it
wasn't
was
that,
like
though.
the fact that Schnepp had mentioned Black Adam and how it like wasn't working at the time or how it couldn't work right
okay.
now, and people just lost their minds.
so crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah, those episodes they get a lot of traction. I'll bet you our ranking of the DCEU one is going to get a lot of hits.
Yeah,
people are going to have
very
some,
curious.
some real things to say about that.
Couple death threats.
Jeff Graham, have we ruined the movie for you? Have you been listening the whole time?
No, you know, the thing about Shazam that I haven't seen it yet, but that I'm looking forward to is I don't feel like plot is what is going to make the movie. It seems like its tone. I'm kind of, from what I've gathered from marketing, it feels almost kind of Spielbergian.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like a lot of DC movies and a lot of superhero movies in general, it seems like the hero is resenting their powers. What I've seen from the marketing is that it seems like Shazam is embracing his powers. And he's excited about the idea of being a superhero, which doesn't happen at all in superhero movies anymore. So that's what I'm excited about with the movie.
Yeah. That's that was incredibly poignant and correct, I believe.
I believe so. So next up on the show, we have a fist pump moment. This is that moment something happens. You gotta look around. You're like, are you seeing this right now? This is so good. I'm so excited to watch the rest of this movie.
Yeah, it's not, you're like watching in theaters and all the heads kind of like they kind of
Yeah.
turn. They're like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys seeing this? Do you know what yours is?
I had a few. It's funny because I think that the thing that this movie does the best is actually it's funny.
Yeah, it's really funny.
It doesn't have like a lot of heroic badass moments. I don't think.
Yeah.
Like most of those moments weren't the ones that landed for me. And so most of them I'm thinking of could either be used as fist bump or favorite line, and they're just funny moments.
Yeah. I mean, like, because I had the kind of the one in the convenience store. Like, the whole convenience store is kind of a fist pump.
Totally.
Because it's just
Shoot me in the
hilarious.
face.
Yeah. He's like, shoot it. You gotta shoot him in the face. He was like, yeah, shoot me in the face. This was great. My actual fist bump was when I leaned over to you and said that. It's actually the moment where you see the villain, the true villain for the first time, as you see Mark Strong come into the business office that his dad owns, and you see all the 7 deadly sins come out.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that a lot of even MCU fans have said, is that the DCEU has always done better with villains than the MCU. I mean, obviously now with Thanos, it's kind of a hard argument.
Yeah.
But I loved Mark Strong as the villain, and I actually really thought that the actual sins were pretty creepy and badass. I loved the art behind them. I thought like gluttony was so cool with his like, stomach opening and all that. That moment when he grabs him and he throws the brother, you realize the dad is alive, because my mom, even when she was like, I thought he died, and I was like,
yeah,
so did I. I had no idea, you know. And it was that moment where I was like, okay. So now we've got this incredible setup, which it is a very good setup. Yeah. We've got this great bit of levity and comedy and incredible supporting cast, and now we've got a badass villain. Yeah. And that's when I was like, sweet. This is going to be great. This just is going to be a good movie.
Is the greatest Mark Strong moment of all time when he's singing Country Roads and in Kingsman 2.
Country roads, take me home.
I love that moment.
Yeah, it's very good. I love Mark Strong.
I'm a big fan. I never saw the Brothers Grimsby. Did you?
No.
Yeah,
but we did just watch Sherlock Holmes again the other day, which we will be covering on the show pretty soon,
right?
Yeah,
I'm trying to get Irwin on for that.
Yeah, because he produced it, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but he's great as Lord Blackwood.
Yeah, Lord Blackwood. I always worried that in Schmodown, and I know this now talking about it, but that they would ask who plays Moriarty, and I would say Mark Strong, even though I know that it's Lord Blackwood. Right. Like I said it to you last night.
Yeah.
But like on the spot, like that's where you would go. Villain, Sherlock Holmes, Mark Strong. That's Moriarty.
I always forget Moriarty's name. His real name. It's it's like a British guy. Anyway, what's your? Do you have a true fist bump or no?
I think my fist bump moment is when they're first pulling the getting out of school sequence, and they have the jacket, and he's you just look like a face that's always scheming, and the guy's like, Moran is like, he's like, no way, you need a parent to sign you out, and he's like, Shazam! And he's like, in the jacket, he's like, just not that other kid, but I'm just here to sign out my son. This is my son. I just came from business office.
From the business office.
And then it just cuts to them just like blowing up books. Just like laughing.
Well, I also love that at that same moment, before he does the Shazam, he's like, you look like you're up to something.
Yeah.
He's like, what? It was great.
And the thing I love so much about it is like there's like a dude bro level of comedy to this movie that's like what you remember being a teenager was like.
Totally.
And like shit like that, like blowing up your school books because you hate school.
It's like so on point.
Yeah, it's so on point. Like, of course that's what you would do.
Because almost every teenage boy was a pyro at one point, right?
Yeah,
like, we all set things on fire.
All the moments of, like, when he first realizes that he has electricity, and they're just, like, standing there in the jungle gym, just staring at it.
Died. Because it was like... Because, like, you could go do so much cool shit, but you're 15.
They're like, that's so cool.
So they're like, we'll just go to a jungle gym and make it electric. So awesome.
Yeah, that was all that stuff. Like, just most of those moments were, like, total fist bumps for me. Because it was just, like, that's the kind of comedy... Like, there are few things that I can think of that I enjoy more in a movie. Like, there's only a couple beats that I like in movies more than really, really good comedy.
Really
like,
genuine comedy. Like, just incredible moments that are caught. And honestly, my favorite line, and I'll just say it now because you already just said it, it is the business office line.
Yeah.
He's like, could it go to the business office? And then the guy's like, that's the best you come up with. And he, Shazam! And he comes back and he's like, hello, I just came back from my meeting at the business office.
Business office.
So good. And the Captain Marvel thing, I gotta say it again. You guys know how I felt about Captain Marvel for the most part, but like, it would have been like, we should go to the playground and like do something dumb because we're kids. Yeah. Instead, it was just cut to them in the playground electrocuting a jungle gym because that's how dumb we are as kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand tonally why Captain Marvel felt the way it felt to me. Like, I don't feel it's bad. I just felt like it was mediocre.
Jeff, did you like Captain Marvel? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, go ahead. Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you guys are getting at is, I think when MCU movies are funny, they're very funny. Like, I think Ant-Man is, like, a comedy.
It's really good, yeah.
But I think some MCU movies sort of struggle from, like, wit. like I think there's this general tone of humor that doesn't always play as funny.
Wit is a good word.
And as someone who's a huge comedy nerd, sometimes I feel like the MCU is masquerading comedy for like quirky dialogue or funny character beats, whereas what I'm gathering is Shazam has straight up comedy moments.
It's just funny.
It's just very funny.
Which the MCU I think gets overcredited for its humor because I think it's more its quirk that people are identifying.
Because like Thor Ragnarok was one of the first times when I'd watched like an MCU movie and been like, this is just a straight up action comedy.
I think the two funniest, maybe three, because Ant-Man's really funny.
Yeah.
But it's Homecoming, Ragnarok, and Ant-Man probably are the three funny ones, right?
I think so.
They're all like pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
Ant-Man 2 is funny, but like definitely Ragnarok's the funniest MCU movie. That movie's hilarious.
Yeah, and then Michael Pena just knocks it out of the park in the first
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, he's great.
He's so good.
So anyway, guys, we're gonna continue moving in.
Jared Harris.
Jared Harris.
That's I just know it's like because he was Moriarty and he's like famous enough.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know why I'm telling you this since you're my sworn enemy, but it's just a name you should maybe know.
It's probably not. You're actually just like you're trying to incept me with incorrect information.
His name is Jeremy Harris.
All right, guys. So we're doing kind of an abbreviated show in some ways today to make up for the fact that I'm out of town.
Yeah.
As you see this, but we are going to get into the next part of the show, which is star profiles. So let's talk Zachary Levi.
Yeah, super interesting. So we got The Star in 2017, Bloodfest in 2018, and Office Uprising in 2018. Never heard of any of them. Never seen any of them.
Nope.
Chuck. He's Chuck, and if you see the graphic on the screen, which we don't have in studio here, but it shows how skinny and scrawny he was as Chuck. Which is, it's astronomically different.
I saw one picture of him that he like it's the one that made the rounds like from his Instagram where he looks all shredded.
Right.
And I was trying to figure out if he's as big as he looks in the suit. No.
The suit definitely has stuff in it.
Okay. So he is in shape and like probably his stomach is like normal, but
Yeah.
like his arms and chest are probably like just huge.
Yeah, I bet he's yoked, but like nothing like actually in the movie.
Like not like Cavill does.
Yeah, because Cavill and honestly Cavill and Hemsworth are just like gigantic.
They're like god-looking people.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, Cavill is insane.
Like Cavill in Man of Steel when he comes out of like the fire and you see his chest.
Yeah.
You're just like, how did you get that to that?
And we all wondered the same thing, which is why the entire trivia section on that movie is just what he ate getting ready for his shirtless
Yeah,
shots.
exactly. Because you're like, how do you look that massive?
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
insane.
Zachary Levi. I've met Zachary twice.
Yeah.
Both times on carpets, both times quickly, and both times a few years ago. Like way prior to this. The ESPYs, a body party, a couple times maybe, and he would come in like the life of the party. Most of the like people know him on the carpet. He's friendly. He's like just making jokes with people. He's like drinking a beer. Like he's just like
cool.
Totally like friendly, confident guy. And I was always just like, this guy seems like kind of a douchebag, but kind of nice.
Right.
Like, who is he? Is he
do
really
I like him or do I not
Oh,
like
he's
him?
the guy from Chuck. I never watched Chuck. Like,
Right.
who is this guy?
Why do you all care about the guy from Chuck?
That's like kind of what I was thinking. But I was like, oh, he's pretty nice. And like I think I interviewed him once, maybe. I'm trying to remember if it was me or the person I was with. Like I just didn't make that much of an impact.
Right.
He was like a nice guy. But Tangled is the other thing, and that's 2010. And it's weird because what you were that story you were telling about him is like, even though that's a movie that made kind of an impact because it's Disney.
Yeah.
It also didn't.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
If you were to ask like your mother, my sister, my brother, most people, who plays, first of all, can you name the male lead character in Tangled? No. Is it
Finn?
It's Flynn Rider.
Flynn.
And if you were to say who plays Flynn Rider in Tangled, he's a comedian from the show Chuck. People.
That I would have gotten it, but honestly, up and just being in the Schmoedown a year ago, I would have never known.
I seriously think if you walk on the street before this movie comes out to most people and you say, who plays Flynn Rider in Tangled? He's Chuck from the show Chuck. Most people look at you and go, no idea.
Or you also just, I think you could probably go now. You're like, hey, Shazam, you saw it, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what Disney movie he was in?
Yeah.
No.
And that's so crazy. That's like he is a Disney prince, basically.
He really is. Yeah.
So that's Zachary Levi.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mark Strong on the other side. Stockholm 2018, The Catcher Was a Spy 2018, and Kingsman: The Golden Circle 2017. Country roads.
Country roads. Do you think Kingsman's done? They already announced making a next one, I
I think there's a third one.
Yeah. Do you think it's done, though?
I mean, I liked Kingsman 2 enough. It's good. Kingsman 1 is like above average in a fun way. I don't particularly like Taron Egerton at this point. I'm like
Really?
over.
Is it just because of Robin Hood?
I think he's talented enough, and I have some amount of faith. But I'm also like, you did this thing, you're like this cocky British kid. and that worked for a movie
Right.
and another. But now you want me to, like, within 2 years after you make the worst Robin Hood movie, like a bad decision from the get-go. That movie like looked
it was,
bad.
It was all bad. Who directed it? You know, you don't. Oh, it wasn't.
know.
Yeah, okay.
And now you want me to buy into the idea that you're going to play Elton John? Like, you've given me 2 years, basically 3 years of movies that, like, I'm supposed to believe you're talented enough to play Elton John. Like, unless he absolutely slays that movie,
Right.
I'm over Taron Egerton.
Okay, first of all, you've got to watch Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you
yeah.
love Hugh.
Yeah, I do.
and he's very good in it. They're
Okay.
both very good in it. I completely agree with everything you're saying, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even that I don't believe you can do it. It's more like stay in your lane.
Yeah.
You're 26 or whatever, and you're gonna
Yeah.
play Elton John.
Yeah.
and you've been in like 5 movies. Like, great, but chill. But then the same thing is like Rami Malek has been in like 0 movies.
Yeah, but Rami Malek also, like, is famous from Mr. Robot, and like he's
Yeah.
a weird character in that show, and that's like this weird show that people love,
and then
it's
he
like,
won awards already on there as Mr. Robot. I think.
people love that show,
Yeah.
and that's different. Like he is like a shirtless action star in Kingsman.
Yeah.
Like, that's
You know
where his
what,
career
though?
starts.
Sorry to hop in, but I
No.
actually think that his career that he's taking now is what he's always wanted. I feel like action was his way in, but he's this really, really good singer. He's kind of this like
interesting.
sensitive musical theatery guy. So
And I don't disagree with you. I completely think that he is the talent enough. And this is the thing. This is why this next film with Elton John is going to be so big for him. Is because
Yeah.
he is known for singing, and he is young and handsome and talented. But can he do this yet?
Yeah.
And like Robin Hood was a really bad move.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing is like we growing up before you and I were in the business at all, you know, you look at these actors' careers that you like and you say like, oh, this year he did this movie. What a bad decision that was. And it's like, we both know now that's so out of your control. You
Yeah,
don't know
it's
if
either-
the movie's going to be good. You probably read a version of a script and your agent tells you there'll be this and it turns out to be something totally different.
It honestly could have been like, I did Kingsman 1. They were like, you got to do Eddie the Eagle, you got to do Robin Hood, and you got to do Kingsman 2 before you get something you want.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, let me just make $100 million and then I'll go do Elton John.
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, I don't think he's not talented, and I don't think that I won't be a fan if he does it right. I just am very skeptical. And
Well, this is actually perfect for our segment then.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the segment you just talked about at the top of the show is who is our next comedian to play a superhero? Now, it's a bit of a tangential thought because we're talking about Taron, but really, since Zachary Levi was more known as kind of being like,
Yeah.
honestly, a sitcom comedy TV series guy, like by the numbers, who do you think would be great to do that next?
Dave Chappelle.
I almost wrote Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. I think Dave Chappelle, first of all, Dave Chappelle got jacked at one point. He got like
did.
super yoked. I don't know if he still is.
And he's so wise in A Star Is Born.
Yeah. And he's like really an interesting actor. He's like a guy who like has the like sort of levity at this point to, I think, just like make a decision and like he
Yeah.
walked away from Chappelle's show. Like that's one of the most famous movies ever.
Yeah, what it
$50
is-
million.
Yeah.
And just quit. And like, I just think if you put him in the right role, I don't want to see like they relaunch the MCU or the DCEU and like Dave Chappelle's Superman. Like that's not what I'm
Right,
talking
right.
about. But I think you put him in the right role. You put him in the right role where he can like use his sort of like, what's the word I'm looking
I would
for?
love to see him as like, I don't know, because I don't know comics well enough, but
Yeah.
like as like the Black Lex Luthor.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Like
something-
older, evil, conniving.
That's
you know?
cool. Yeah, that'd be cool. And there's so many like B and C level comic book characters that I'm not even super familiar with
Right.
that you could literally go in and like write a good story around, put in a movie, and if you get the right actor, it works. I just think Dave Chappelle has like the right sort of weight to his like you said his wisdom in Star Is Born. You're joking, but like you don't get to where
No,
you've
I'm actually
gotten
not.
to as Dave Chappelle unless you have the ability to like really bring some truth to what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I was being honest in his scene with Cooper and even in the trailer. It's like one of my favorite parts.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like he like takes his time and he's very much who he is in that film, which I love. I had 2 people I thought about. One of them was Eliza Schlesinger or whatever. I think she would have been a better Captain Marvel than Brie Larson.
Who's
honestly.
Eliza Schlesinger?
I love that.
Yeah, you like that, Jeff?
I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
Yeah, so was she on the show? What was the show? It wasn't a Limidate. It was like she was on some like ridiculous CW dating show as the
Okay.
host / comedian. She's pretty famous as a female stand-up.
Yeah.
I can't remember what movie she was in that was like kind of her breakout, but she's very pretty. She's very talented. If you look her up, you'll probably know who she is, but I think she could have pulled off that comedy that Brie Larson didn't, and I think that she has the acting chops and the body to be a superhero. But who I actually went with 100% because I've seen more of his career more closely is Donald Glover. I know he's not a true comedian, but I do know based off what Jeff has told me and from what I've heard from people that his writing and his the eye behind Atlanta is amazing. His acting might not be top notch from what I hear. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah, he's a straight man in that show.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's given much to do.
Right.
But he can act. I mean, we've seen him. I think he was great in Community, which people don't talk about much.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's him as Lando. He's like cool, sexy, and intriguing. You want to know more about Lando. Like the Solo movie for me was like, I want to know more about Lando. Was that movie?
Pretty sure people felt that way like 6 months before the movie came out and never changed their opinion.
100%. So yeah, those are mine.
Interesting. All
Can
right.
I quickly throw it in the ring, guys?
Yeah, please.
Y'all know Brandon Michael Hall? Do you guys know this
I
guy?
don't.
It's interesting. Hollywood's been trying to make him something for years. He was in a canceled show on ABC called The Mayor. He's now in a CBS sitcom called God Friended Me.
Oh yeah.
He's just kind of this TV guy who's incredibly charming and has this on-screen charisma that people have been pushing, at least Hollywood has been. I feel like they want him to be the next big thing.
Yeah,
he just hasn't been yet. But he's the kind of actor who we all know is really talented and charming, but doesn't have any associations carried with him. So it's really fun to see these kinds of actors make big debuts on film.
Oh, and he's only 26.
Yeah, he's a young guy.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have his moment. So we're gonna quickly breeze through production development here because we're kind of running short on time.
Yeah, Jeff, do you actually know how long the show's been going today so far, or no?
We're about 35 in. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we'll wrap here in the next 10.
So yeah, Henry Gaiden and Darren Lemke, they're the writers. Gaiden had worked as assistant to Mr. Sargent on Spider-Man 3. Then he proceeded to write short films and TV series episodes. He did Earth to Echo in 2014. I don't know if you remember that movie. The film flopped, and that was the last thing he wrote before Shazam.
I totally had forgotten about that movie, but I'm very impressed that he stuck with it. Took 5 years off, and here we are. Lemke on the other side of that, Darren Lemke is an American screenwriter who's been active in the industry since the late 90s. His first major screenwriting credit was actually for Shrek Forever After, which he wrote with Josh Klausner.
Okay.
I've seen his name float around a little bit. He then went and directed the thriller film Lost in 2004, which he also wrote. And he's also written Turbo, Jack the Giant Slayer, and both Goosebumps films. So I'm assuming they brought him in to really write the children and kind of the light levity with the kids, which is one of the best parts of the film.
I think it is the best part of the film, honestly.
Yeah, sure.
Directed by David F. Sandberg, short film director and composer. He's did Lights Out a few years ago, if you guys remember, and then he also directed one of the Annabelle films, and now Shazam. So he's really a horror director for the most part, who just doesn't have a lot of big budget experience, and this is knocking out of the park on this one.
Yeah, which I think is why I love the Seven Deadly Sins so much. I bet his eye for horror really kind of brought those to life. Interesting here is there's no box office. It opened yesterday night for us, and so we don't have anything. It opened April 5th, technically, which is my birthday, and the budget was around $80 to $100 million, which is pretty great considering Infinity War for the two of them was about $1 billion, so $500 million a piece.
It's crazy.
It's insane. IMDb has this movie at an 8.0. Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter gives it a 93%, and the audience gives it a 90, which
those numbers will change as this movie actually comes out.
you think it drops to an 84 and 86 or something? Or
Yeah,
what are you thinking?
maybe. I would say so. I think this movie was good enough to warrant that. Before we get to favorite line, just a quick question for you. This movie was really good. It's been reviewed really well. And I want to know, are you buying or selling on the DCEU?
I don't know, man. It's so difficult because every other movie they do is so good or bad. I loved Wonder Woman. And I actually liked Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And I really like this movie, but I hated Aquaman. Yeah. I absolutely hated Aquaman. I hated Suicide Squad. Batman vs Superman, not good. Justice League, I've only seen the once, so it's it's really hard for me to want to buy it, but it seems like they're kind of figuring it out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I sell it still. I just don't. I think if it all just ended right now for the DCEU, I would not a tear shed, not an ounce of sleep missed. What the hell?
So I'm buying. I'm buying, and I thought about this a lot. And actually, Jeff, I would love to know what you would have to say about this afterwards, but I'm buying, and the reason is, okay, I thought about the 7 movies, and I, on the whole, have disliked more of them than I've liked. However, the thing that works about Aquaman is that Jason Momoa is a star.
Yes.
One of the best parts of Justice League is that Jason Momoa and Gal and Cavill, they're stars. Yep. They're great in their roles. The best part of Wonder Woman is that Gal Gadot is a freaking goddess in real life, and she just translates that into that character perfectly.
And you even forget how incredible Chris Pine is because she is that incredible.
She's that incredible. Yeah. And in this movie, Zachary Levi is fantastic as Shazam. This movie totally works. And the fact that they're keeping it in the confines of the DCEU means that at this point, like, they have started to figure it out. The places that it hasn't worked. Now, if they go forward with the slate of films that they were announcing and have announced in the last few years, and that's what they decide to do, and they just go by the numbers based on this older plan, I'm probably selling. But I have enough faith in Warner Brothers to look at what's worked and look what hasn't worked and cancel some of the shittier movies and move forward with the ones that matter.
Yeah.
Because, look, you recast Batman, fine. I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that.
It's happened a million times already.
You keep it in the DCEU, and I think you have enough stars. You have enough stars and likable stars, and what they've done, and people haven't really realized this, is like, this movie's funny and it works, and like Aquaman to a lot of people was kind of funny and had like this lightness to it. Like a lot of the best parts of Justice League were like the lighter parts, the funnier parts.
Yeah.
They've leaned away from the super dark stuff, and they've kind of I think they went there too fast. Now, if you put these characters that you like, these actors that you like, together in a situation like an Infinity War where it is dark and there's real stakes and characters are going to die, I think people are going to like it.
And honestly, like, some of my favorite parts of Shazam were the darkness to it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able to find that balance. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with what you're saying, and I like where they're at now. And I think if they keep this plan and they keep moving in the same direction, and they understand the humor the way that they did in this film and in the way they did in Wonder Woman and kind of in Aquaman, I feel better about it. But like I said before, if it all just ends now, I'm okay with it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jeff? Buying or selling?
You know, I think one of the burdens that the DCEU has is it's just inevitably compared to the MCU.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's better than people give it credit for, but the measuring stick is just so brutally perfect. I mean, if you think about the MCU, that's a wild cinematic achievement.
Yeah.
However you feel about the films, like, it's insane what they've done, and it's completely exceptional what they've done. So I think that's the burden the DCEU bears. It's better than people give it credit for, and I'm definitely buying.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm on my own on this one. Live chat. Damn it.
I will tell you guys, one of the questions that I teased in the outline for the Action Guys episode, the definitive ranking of the DCEU, and we're not going to answer it here, we're going to answer it there, so you guys will have to go find out, is what is better or worse? The 7 films we have so far in the DCEU or the Marvel era films from 1998 to 2009, or 2007, the
Daredevils and
the pre-MCU movies, because some were good and some were bad. Like, really, honestly, if you were comparing apples to apples, is it the Marvel era before the MCU or is it the DCEU? Which is better? Because that early era of superhero films was still heralded as kind of a success and, like, on the whole, pretty good. So just a question to be answered on the other show. I think we're going to skip through favorite lines because we've already talked about a lot of our favorite lines.
Yeah, I mean, I already said mine. For sure.
And that only is going to leave one last thing, and that's that there's 3 action movie categories, Drew.
Yeah, there's totally ridiculous, totally legitimate, and ridiculously legitimate. The categories basically explain themselves. I think I have to go mid. Oh, I don't know. What are you thinking?
I think this movie's totally ridiculous.
Really?
I think in the best way.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's a bad thing. I just think that, like, a lot of the stuff, like the whole, like, last third of all the other kids becoming Shazams and, like, a lot of the 7 deadly sins and the way that, like, the final 40 minutes of this movie of like him now being Superman, but, like, running away with the other kids instead of just, like, being like, I'm gonna stand and fight this guy while you guys run away.
And then when he does do it, and he kind of has that superhero moment of, I'm just gonna try harder now, when he, like, catches his hand.
Yeah. It was that all that stuff was just like, this is absurd. And, like, and the 7 deadly sins can, like, turn to mist when you try to hit them, but then they just stop turning to mist when you try to hit them, so that now you can hit them. Was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, why do all these final 45 minutes devolve into the same garbage of just, like,
massive
super
battles
things, punching super things,
like super fast and super hard and all over the place.
It just doesn't make any sense. It's not compelling. And so, like, that was just, and also, like, we didn't need friggin' 6 more Shazams.
No, we needed the movie to end.
Yeah.
We really did. At that point, because I definitely felt that, and even the person, Ashley leaned over to me and she's like, hey, she's like, how much longer do you think is left? And I was like, it's probably like 20 more minutes, because you could tell based off of what was starting to happen that they still needed to have at least 20 more minutes of, like, the kids all fighting and ending things up and wrapping things up,
Like, I probably give this movie a 7.6 for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
This is a full point from the, like, high 8 that it would get if it had just found a way to end 20 minutes earlier.
I will say that yeah, I will say that for sure, that the very last act for me dropped this movie down substantially.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So totally ridiculous, my vote.
Yeah, I think I'm on board. Totally ridiculous.
I mean, it has some heart, and so it works in those
100%.
places.
And you're still living in their world, and you play by their rules, and you're okay with it. But yeah, the end gets a little crazy.
Yeah. So that's going to be that. The last thing we have left to do is called The Pitch.
What is that thing you've started doing?
I don't know. Try to add every week to it.
It's good. I love it. It's going to be a whole song at one
We're
point.
we're doing Hellboy, though we have no idea which one.
I am very skeptical of this new Hellboy.
Incredibly skeptical.
I'm very happy that David, or whatever his name is from Stranger
I knew
Things.
you were going to know his name.
I can't remember his name.
David
Harbour,
Harbour.
yeah.
Yeah, David Harbour. Even though
I like David Harbour.
I like David Harbour. He came to some shows at Westside. He performed in the Stranger Things show. There.
Really?
Yeah, he's a good dude, but like, what are you doing as Hellboy? I mean, obviously getting that money.
Yeah, I think there's a comedy aspect to Hellboy, so they're like, we're gonna put this guy who's like really good at kind of being like stoic, a little bit comic. He's having his moment, right?
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like a lot of makeup, so you can get if you want the personality. Like if you think about Ron Perlman, he was kind of a weird choice back in the beginning. He wasn't super duper famous.
Definitely.
I don't know. I'm pretty skeptical. I don't really know what to think, and unfortunately for this movie, that thing we're talking about with
Right,
press is
yeah.
kind of happening. I haven't heard anything.
Did you like the original Hellboy?
I like him okay.
Okay.
I mean, I think I like him a lot, actually. It's been a very long time since I've seen him. People love those movies, and I remember Hellboy 2, I think I like better than Hellboy 1.
I like both of them.
Yeah, but we're either going to be doing the new Hellboy if it's great, or we're going to be doing one of the old Hellboys, and I'll have to revisit to see if I like them or not.
Yep.
And that is going to be the answer. So probably Hellboy 1. I'm guessing that Guillermo Hellboy 1 is the movie we're going to end up doing.
Probably what it'll be, unless somehow this new one is absolutely mind-blowing. But we'll let you guys know. We'll keep you updated over the next week. Really quickly, a general shout-out. Andrew Hayes, Paul Denuzzo, Billy Belford, John Getz, and John Patterson. You guys are generals in the Action Army, and we salute you.
We salute you guys. Go check out schmodownlive.com. I think it's schmodownlive.com. Tickets for Houston. Drew and I going head-to-head in May. Like 700 some odd seats. I think we've sold half the seats so far. So go buy a ticket if you guys want to come hang out, see the showdown of the century.
Yeah,
it's going to be unbelievable.
Check out patreon.com/teamaction to go and get these amazing challenge coins that we'll be giving out in Houston.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.